What is up? What is up, everyone? Welcome. I believe this is episode number 44 of the Plumecast. I think it's 44. Last week was 43, so this means this week is 44. How's everyone doing tonight? How's everyone hanging out and gaming and enjoying their Saturday night or Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, wherever you're located? So you already got 24 people here. It's awesome. What's up, Josh? What's up, Black Knight? What's up, Dovakin? What's up, Matthew? All right. What's up, Covert? Just hit episode 44 as well. Well, I guess we started it at the same time. I shaved nice. Yeah, I had to shave. It was like, it's getting warmer and it was getting itchy and I was getting sweaty. So I just said, screw it. I'm shaving it off. Feeling good about Halo Infinite Season 2. Nice. We're gonna jump into that. We're gonna talk about that stuff. But yeah, welcome everyone. Episode number 44, Plumecast, my weekly gaming podcast. Just talk about all the stuff that I didn't get to, stuff that I did get to, and we're just gonna have a good time and hang out. If it's your first time here, got 30 viewers in here right now. If it's your first time here, hit the like, hit the subscribe if you enjoy what you see. We're just gonna hang out for a couple hours and talk about gaming news. But as always, if you guys have been watching Plumecast, I do drink beer on the podcast. Very, very basic one, but one of my favorites. I'm just drinking some Guinness tonight. Actually, depending on how well this goes, I have two of them, so we may get through both, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna pop this open. I'm gonna pour myself a drink. And if you guys are having a drink tonight, let me know what you guys are drinking in the comments below. What I like about this, I can just pour it. I don't need to worry about any of the fizz. It just goes right in nicely. Nothing better than a nice cold Guinness. Let the PlayStation fans down easy. Oof. I'm a pretty easygoing, objective guy. I'm not trying to start any console wars here. What's up, Bob? Let that sit for a bit. But yeah, we got lots of stuff to get into. There was a bunch of stuff that came out today that I want to talk about as well that I didn't put there on the list. But I'm gonna talk about the chip priority. Gonna talk about Halo Infinite. Gonna talk about Sega. There's some news that came out about them and Super Game, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Game Pass, PlayStation, PS3, and Vita store with digital stuff, and some other things here as well, like the new certain Affinity game. So we're gonna have a good time. But before we get into all this stuff, the games that I've been playing this week, as I always like to talk about every week on the Plumecast, I've been really focused on two games this week, and it is MLB The Show 22, which I've been jumping into, started a franchise and just having a great time. Actually made my own team called the Plumes, and just starting a franchise from there and going through it. It's such a great baseball game. If you guys like baseball, it's the best. Like, it's the best out there. I mean, there hasn't really been a competitor baseball game simulation style for a very long time. There used to be 2K, which was really good, and then way back on like the original Xbox was MVP baseball, which was amazing. But then they really just stopped making any competitors. But at least MLB The Show is good. And what's the best thing about it, obviously it's on Game Pass, but there's perks with Game Pass now for MLB The Show that I didn't realize. But you can get like 10 free packs for Diamond Dynasty on Game Pass, which is hilarious to me. You think about it, because it's just more incentives for people to sign up and play the game on Xbox rather than playing it on PlayStation. I mean, get it on Game Pass, you don't have to pay full price, all that stuff. So really awesome game. It's pretty much the same as last year, I would say. Isn't too big of a jump. So that's why a game like that is perfect for Game Pass. I mean, I feel like these yearly sports releases should just be on subscription services at this point, because they don't really update too much in the gameplay. There's kind of like a roster update and then sometimes small tweaks here and there. But that's about it. But still an incredible baseball game. So I've been playing that, and I've been playing Weird West. Weird West is very, very cool. It's like a Western RPG, kind of like the isometric view, kind of a simulation as well. a really interesting dialogue and characters with a mix of like supernatural stuff in it, and the gameplay's fun, and the like travel system's very cool. You don't actually travel with your character, you don't actually move them, you just kind of go to the map and you select it, and then you see on the map your icon moving across. But at times, as you're moving through the map, you can get stopped with like battles or other towns you run into and other things that you find. So yeah, very cool game, Weird West as well. If you haven't played that, it's on Game Pass. It was a day one game. Highly recommend checking that game out. It's well worth your time. I'm about 10 hours into it, I want to say, maybe like 7 to 10 hours into it. It's really really cool, and it's pretty meaty. I think there's probably going to be like 30 to 40 hours of that. I'm not sure, but I'm enjoying it so far. What's up, Yesteryear? What's up, Julio? Say Sega backwards. I don't know how to say Sega backwards. Do I like football? I do like football. Well, which football are you talking about? Like the one we play with your foot, or the one like American football? I like them both. Couldn't get into Weird West. I can see why some people can't get into it. It isn't. It's definitely not for everybody. But I'm enjoying it. Having a good time with it. But let me know what you guys are playing in the comments. And let me just set this up quickly, and we'll jump right into the topics. All right. A lot to talk about today. Oh no, I gotta change this here. 1 second. Sorry for the live editing. So the first thing, as is the biggest thing. First thing here we have is the biggest thing that I think everybody's pretty much been talking about this week. And it is this, I guess, so-called rumor. It's hard. It's obviously never going to be confirmed by Xbox, and Xbox isn't going to come out and say it. But it is this chip priority that I talked about in my video on Friday, and it has to do with Xbox potentially paying more money to AMD so that they get chip priority in order to get more consoles out there on the market. And we've seen this just pay dividends over these last couple of months with Xbox selling more. We have the charts here. The Xbox selling more in the sales comparison through March 26th. Now this is VG charts. One thing with VG charts, I don't know how they get their numbers. It's always an estimate, and I don't even know how anyone gets Xbox numbers, because Xbox doesn't really give their sales numbers, but these are their estimates that they have so far. And we can see here in 2022 so far that the strategy of chip priority, Xbox is leading in terms of pushing consoles into people's homes by about 200,000, which is extremely surprising if you're basing it off of what was happening in 2021. We know PlayStation is always most likely going to be selling more consoles based, at least in the first couple of years, based off of what happened with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and just how severely Xbox fell behind in terms of console sales, and how good the PS4 was and for their overall sales. So that transition to this generation is not going to be an instant switch for increasing or catching up to PlayStation in sales, but we're starting to see it a little bit here with this chip priority stuff, with just Xbox doing extremely well with the strategy of having the Series S, which I think we're going to talk about once we get to the end of this generation, and see that that was probably one of the smartest strategies we've seen in a long time from a company, getting those two SKUs with that cheaper one that just plays everything well. And we know with AMD and RDNA 2 and all that stuff, with all of the VRS coming and like the VRS 2.0, that type of stuff is just going to make the Series S just such an unbeatable deal going forward. If they can get these games coming out in 2, 3, 4 years from now that run on the Series X, run on the PlayStation 5, to look great on the Series S as well, and you're paying $299 for the console. So it's all paying off right now with all the business moves that they have been doing. But what people have been talking about this chip priority is, if it is true, obviously it's working. It's obviously working right now with the sales. And this was from, I believe, Special Nick on Xbox Aero last week, saying around April last year, I got a DM saying Microsoft's going to have a lot of consoles available this fall. And they did it in the end, didn't they? Microsoft paid for chip priority at the factories, which is why we saw so much more and are still seeing so much more Xbox stock now. To me, it's a smart investment. And that's what this is at the end of the day. This is just a very smart business move by Xbox. And anyone criticizing this as like it's bad, it's dirty, it's all that type of stuff, I think they're just delusional in that sense, because this is business. And if you're not playing business to win, there's not even a point of being in business. And when it comes to the argument of like Xbox doesn't care about console sales and that narrative's changing because of this, and I think that's also completely false and completely sort of delusional. Xbox doesn't care about console sales as their only way to get people into their ecosystem, right? They care about console sales though, because they wouldn't be making this product if they didn't care about it to a certain extent. It's not the number one thing that they care about. Number one thing they care about is getting them into their ecosystem, but the console is just another avenue into the ecosystem. And the Series S, I mean, is going to be that low entry cost to get in if people don't have a PC. If they have, at least right now too, since they haven't released like a dedicated streaming stick to plug into your TV or made the smart TV app, and everybody's going to want to only play on their phone. The Series S is just the one of the smartest and best entry points right now into the ecosystem, in my opinion. So it's a brilliant move for them to pay the chip priority. I mean, we've seen since the beginning of this generation, it seems like all of the like marketing and stuff with AMD has been primarily focused on Xbox. Like, you even go over to AMD's webpage here, and like they have Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I mean, obviously here they're talking about Xbox Game Pass for PC offer, but like they got Halo Infinite multiplayer, and they even have Xbox Game Pass on their website advertising it and stuff like that. So for AMD, this makes a ton of sense, because if people are going to probably go and upgrade their graphics cards and buy AMD graphics cards just to play the next greatest game that comes out onto Xbox Game Pass. So it's really a win-win. And we know with the chip shortage, it'll be super interesting to see what happens with this going forward, like in April and in May. Is PlayStation going to up their production? Have they upped their production? We don't know. And like, these numbers may not be 100% accurate, but again, it shows to the strategy that when you've locked yourself into only one avenue getting into your ecosystem, especially when you have things that you can't account for, like a pandemic and stuff going on around the world with these chip shortages, it's a strategy that you're going to eventually have to evolve from, which PlayStation knows, which is what they're doing. I mean, with their PlayStation Plus stuff, that they're trying to get to the subscription more. They're putting more games on PC, and it just all boils down to Xbox, I think, having better business leadership and better business strategies for this generation. It's not even close. It always seems like this. I don't know if you guys think this, but I've been playing games since like Super Nintendo days. But obviously you didn't have the internet back then. You weren't able to like compare the generations as well as you can now. But it always seems like the company that is leading the previous generation just kind of takes a break, sits on their laurels, and just kind of rests on their laurels, and just doesn't evolve into the next generation. And then we always kind of see that flip. We always see the one that just provides better value, better for consumers overall, is just the better platform. And it seems like it's happening again right now with the Series X and S. Whereas last generation, I would say 360, or 2 generations ago, I would say 360 was the better one. And then it flipped, where PS4 was clearly the better option, definitely at launch with the lower price and the game trading and all that type of stuff. So it's a very interesting thing to see how it seems like it always happens. It always happens like that. And I don't know. It's weird how they always continue to think that their same strategy is the same strategy, they can continue into the next generation and not come up with anything that will give consumers more value. Because you even think about PlayStation games being $10 more. You think about MLB The Show. Like, why would anybody in their right minds go in if they have a PS5 and they have an Xbox? Why would anyone in their right mind go and pay the premium PlayStation price to get MLB The Show when it's on Game Pass? It just doesn't make any sense. And it's crazy how the consumers just, especially on PlayStation, sit back and think that's okay that they're not putting MLB The Show on their subscription services. They could easily put it into PS Plus. You can't try to convince me that there's no way PlayStation, if they wanted to, could not put MLB into PS Plus and give it to people on PS5 and PS4 for free, and then still make money off the microtransactions of like Diamond Dynasty and all that type of stuff. So it's crazy to me. And then the other thing too is you think about like I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but you think about like the mindset that some people have that they would rather pay more to a big corporation for video games because it makes them think that their games are more valuable. That's literally being brainwashed by marketing and by a corporation. That's literally all that is. So the value is there for Xbox. They've made all the right business moves with the chip priority thing. I think it's a great business move if it is true, because again, it's still just a rumor. And Xbox we'll never see, well, maybe we will. Maybe there'll be some court case in the future where they dive into the documents like they did with the Fortnite and the Apple stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's where it is. And people saying that this is anti-consumer or it's bad or it's this Xbox throwing their money around to win is I mean, they are throwing their money around to get an advantage, but they don't always throw their money into the right places. But this was one of those good moves. So I'm going to read some of the comments here. What do you guys think about this? Sony gets the money their fans paying $70 for it. Yeah. I mean, again, the $70 thing, that's just, it's ridiculous to think that paying an extra $10 for a PlayStation game makes that game better value than other big AAA games out there, makes it more quality. It doesn't. It just means that you've been brainwashed by the corporation. And I mean, I probably used to be brainwashed back in the day by corporations thinking one was better than the other. But today I'm just like, I go where the value is. I go where the better value is. Like, I love Xbox. It's my priority console. But let's say they flipped everything tomorrow and all of the things that Xbox was doing, PlayStation was doing. And then Xbox was like, yeah, you want the next Fable, you want Perfect Dark. When it comes out, you're gonna have to pay $70. But PlayStation's they're gonna put it on their subscription service. There's no way in hell I would be playing those games on Xbox if they did that, right? So it's just crazy. True business is business. That's it. Business is business. I mean, that's the name of the game. If you're not in it to win in business, then there really is. You're probably not in the right place. Why gaming PCs are expensive? Well, I mean, GPUs are insanely priced still. I don't know if that's ever going to slow down, but we'll see on that. So it's bad for Xbox getting chip priority, but Sony keeping games under time exclusivity isn't. That's the thing too, right? The time exclusivity that PlayStation has done. Like, where's Final Fantasy Remake? We still haven't gotten that. Is Final Fantasy 16 ever going to come out on Xbox when that game is eventually released? I know they say there's like a year exclusivity, but people were thinking Final Fantasy 7 Remake was only about a year or even 2 years. And I mean, it should be coming out soon. We still haven't got it. When are we going to get that, right? And it's ridiculous. The amount of money they must have paid to keep Final Fantasy 7 Remake off of Xbox for as long as they're keeping it off. I don't even want to think about it because it's probably a huge, huge bag for Square Enix. So many guys always be like, numbers don't lie, but when the numbers show Xbox winning, they make up excuses. Yeah. And it's not even just about the console sales. Like, I fully expect that by the end of this generation, PlayStation 5 will have a relatively, like, a good enough gap in overall console sales. And I could be completely wrong with that. I'm just kind of basing it off of last generation, where Xbox really took a step backwards, where people just didn't buy it and they have to work double hard to kind of catch up on that for this generation, but they've done such a great job. It may be closer, but I do fully expect PlayStation 5 to sell more consoles than Xbox, which Xbox will probably will be very happy. Like they probably wouldn't care that much if they're still selling as many consoles as they're selling at the rate that they're selling them now, because they still know their number one priority is getting people to sign up for the ecosystem. And as long as Game Pass continues to grow, that's their main priority. That's what they care about. Chips are for their Surface products, not just for Xbox. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure that's it as well. I've seen some tweets from Sony fans saying Microsoft are keeping PS5 out of Sony fans' hands. That's ridiculous. That's like next level just insaneness. Obviously, that's not what they're doing. If Sony wanted to, Sony's the only people keeping PlayStation 5s out of Sony fans' hands because they didn't plan for anything. They just walked into this generation thinking, you know what, we can do the bare minimum with our console, and we know our fans are still going to eat it up, and no one's going to complain, and no one's going to hold our feet to the fire. That's what's holding them back. Like, you even look at the backwards compatibility stuff with they weren't going to really do any backwards compatibility until people complained enough. And then they brought out the PS4 stuff, and then you think about even the PlayStation Plus things that they've announced. They aren't even for PS3. You still have to stream. They didn't even work hard enough to like make sure that you could emulate PlayStation 3. Which I know what I understand with the PS3 stuff is, yeah, the architecture is completely different, so it definitely will take more time and resources to emulate it. But can't you emulate PS3s on like PC? Like, aren't there people like kids sitting in their bedrooms like coding being emulators for PS3? So I'm pretty sure there is, but I could be wrong on that. So if the random guy can do it, I'm sure Sony can invest in being able to download PS3 games on PS5. All right, they asked Xbox to compete, and now when they do, it's not fair. They need to accept Sony isn't leading the industry anymore. Yeah, I mean, when you ask a giant, a multi-trillion-dollar company to compete, and they see that there's the growth in gaming industry, like it's like waking a sleeping giant. There's upcoming PS5 jailbreak. No one will pay $70 for that. All right, well, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna use that. I want to port StarCraft 2 to Xbox. That would be incredible. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see StarCraft 2. I'd love to see them get World of Warcraft on Xbox. I think there's a huge opportunity there, and I hope Xbox takes advantage of it once the acquisition goes through. Just waiting for them to become third party. Stealing KOTOR from Xbox was a dirty move. Oh man, well, it's business. I don't know if it's a dirty move. I mean, the timed exclusivity things I really dislike. Like, I dislike timed exclusivity no matter who does it. I just think that it's a business tactic I don't like, but it's business. Again, at the end of the day, it's business. If they think that it's their return on investment, right? If they think that spending a couple $1 million to however much they spend to get these games timed exclusive on their console will increase their overall return on investment for that certain period or whatever, they'll do it, and it's business. So I mean, Xbox has done it as well too. But yeah, KOTOR, I mean, I played that back on the original Xbox. That was like I would say that's the first real game that got me to finally understand and enjoy RPGs. Before that, it was just like I didn't really fully get them. Wasn't old enough as well, but KOTOR, I remember I went to, in Canada, we have the stores called Microplay, and I walked in with my dad, and I had no idea what to play, and he didn't know what to get, and he's just asked the guy, he's like, what game should we play? And it had just come out. And yeah, luckily we picked it up, and it was probably one of the best just random game decisions, or probably the best random game decision ever that I can remember from my childhood, because that game definitely got me into enjoying RPGs. Yes, you can emulate PS3. Yeah, there you go. So if PlayStation is not even willing to put the money into it, you know, that right there. As a fan, I would be upset. I would be annoyed of that. All right. we got a lot of things to go over. I'm gonna jump over here to the news about. Just gonna quickly change this up. News about a new Xbox game coming from certain Affinity. Now we had heard about this before, but it looks like they are hiring now. Just move this over here. So I saw this tweet and I thought it would probably be good to talk about it. It comes here from Idle Sloth, who puts out a lot of good Xbox news and information on Twitter. And it says here, Windows Central, Certain Affinity, or I guess Windows Central reported this. Certain Affinity is working on an Xbox exclusive Monster Hunter-like codenamed Shirty Swarte, however you say it. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to get made fun of for that one, but job listings for senior graphic engineer, specifically with development experience on Xbox consoles. Now, this is the original report, and I believe this was way back in January. And Certain Affinity. Now, Certain Affinity, first of all, they've done like they've worked on a bunch of different stuff, bunch of big franchises like Call of Duty. They worked on Halo. They're just kind of, I guess, like that third party developer that the first parties contract out to help finish their games and work on them. They've done a bunch of stuff here. You see all of their projects: Halo Infinite, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, Crackdown 3, World of Tanks, bunch of World of Tanks, bunch of more Call of Duties, and other Halos as well. So they have obviously a good relationship with Xbox, and that relationship's going to be even stronger now. I think about it with the Activision Blizzard deal, because Call of Duty, they're going to continue to work on those as well, I'm assuming. So that relationship is getting bolstered. And there was this report here that they are actually working on another exclusive Xbox game called Project Suerte, and it is reportedly a Monster Hunter inspired game implying big monster battles with multiplayer gameplay, which, I mean, sounds like a perfect Game Pass game with multiplayer gameplay, and just probably being able to jump in with your friends and take down these massive big monsters, and a bunch of co-op stuff, which will get a lot of people jumping in and just trying it out. Even if it's people don't want to buy it, they'll probably jump into Game Pass to try it out. And apparently it's been in development since 2020 and it's likely slated for 2023 reveal and a 2024 release. So we won't see anything about this, I guess, until next year with whatever show that they have next year. Because, is E3 going to come back? Because as we know, E3 is canceled. So is it going to be Summer Games Fest going forward? We know Summer Games Fest is taking over this year. Is that going to be going into 2023 as well? Or are they going to finally bring back E3, bring back the in-person thing? I know a lot of people don't really care about E3. I wish E3, I hope it comes back. I wish the best for it, just because it's been a show that I've watched literally every year for as long as I can remember. It's always the time of the year you get most excited about video games, because it's just like a big dump of just awesome news about upcoming games, and it gets you excited for just the future, and especially the ones that they announced that are coming out in, or that they show off that were previously announced that are coming out in like the holiday season. So it's unfortunate that's not going to be around this year, but hopefully Summer Games Fest will do it justice. So they continue on here to say here that Certain Affinity has long been a close partner of Microsoft, working on various Halo titles from Halo 2 through to the Master Chief Collection to Halo Infinite. For received some separate hints that Certain Affinity may also be working on a new game mode for Halo Infinite, which could be a take on the popular Battle Royale formula, or something completely different entirely, which we have heard about a lot recently, which was like the Last Spartan Standing game mode that I will talk about once we talk about the Halo stuff after this. So yeah, a new game, Monster Hunter style multiplayer, another first party or not first party, but another Xbox exclusive, and it should be exciting. This is like adding to a list of Xbox game publishing games working with the third parties. So Project Dragon from IO Interactive, which I don't think know anything about that yet. As Dusk Falls from Interior Night, which we've seen that a couple of times. I think that's more of like a narrative-driven kind of choice-based style of game. And then Contraband from Avalanche, which we saw last year's E3, which is like the co-op game similar to like a Sea of Thieves style, but you're going on heists and stuff like that, from what I understand. Very excited to see more about what this Contraband game is, because I really liked Rage 2, and I believe Avalanche developed it. And there was the other game that they put out onto Game Pass, which was, I could be wrong on this if it's from the same developers, but it was that the one where you're killing dinosaurs. I forget what it's called. It's slipping my mind right now, but it really felt good in terms of the gameplay and in terms of the shooting. And then I realized after, I think it was the same developers that did Rage 2, and it felt a lot like Rage 2. So I really do like the gameplay that they put out. So it'll be interesting to see what Contraband's all about. But just another first party game from certain Affinity, who we know works on Call of Duty, works on Halo, builds our relationship. Maybe this is a studio in the future that Xbox considers acquiring if this game works out, because I mean, they've already done a lot of work on Xbox stuff. I mean, you never know if that's even possible, but we'll wait and see on that. But speaking of Halo, we will jump over here and talk about season 2 of Halo Infinite, which we got a trailer of. Season 2. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to Halo Infinite, I got to be completely honest, I have fallen off the game. I was extremely excited for when it came out. I played a ton of it when it first came out, but like seemingly like it seems like everyone else, based off of if we look right now, these Steam numbers, I mean, it's not looking great for Halo Infinite. And in terms of stream numbers, I don't believe it's very good as well. Just Second Extinction. I just saw that comment. Just triggered me. Yes, that's it, Jordan. Back to Halo. But it doesn't look very good. These numbers are falling off. It needs content. It needs something to boost it ASAP. Now, the thing is, too, with these live service style games, they can be revitalized. It's not like Halo's dead. Everyone's saying it's the end of Halo. Halo's dead. Halo Infinite's never going to make a comeback. And that could very well be the case. I don't know. I don't buy it. I think that we've seen live service games make comebacks, and we've seen just new content revitalize the entire game itself. A new game mode, battle royale modes have revitalized entire games and just turned them into something that if it exploded into what you could never expect. So I think that with Halo, that's still an option that's out there, and it's still something that can very well happen. And I think that there's still a high chance of that. But season 2 is so vital. I really think it is. I think that they can't drop the ball at all. I know they've given us this announcement here. Now, I hope that this isn't like all of it. I'm sure they're going to continue to release new stuff throughout season 2, because we know co-op's coming later on in season 2. Unfortunately, Forge isn't coming until season 3, which I think could be a huge game changer for bringing the game back, with people just making just wacky stuff to play. We know that seems huge. But here's season 2, Lone Wolves. They give us this quick trailer, quick teaser of what we can expect. It's coming out on Tuesday, May 3rd. Again, on everything, Series X, S, Xbox One, and PC. And it should contain brand new cosmetic items for Spartans, their titles, vehicles, and more. There is no set end date revealed yet, so we don't know how long this is going to last, but this should be about 3 months. I think that's what they said when they announced Halo Infinite was the first season's going to be 6. December, January, February, March, April, May, June, May. Around 5-6 months, right? It was going to be longer. It was going to be double. And season, because it came out in November. Yes, so it is. Season 2 is going to be 3, and then so going forward, it was going to be 3 months per season, which is, I think, pretty custom for these live service season games. So we have new cosmetics, new items. There's going to be at least one new map, which I was hoping for more, and I hope they continue to bring new maps. But possibly they're saying even 2 new maps, because from the trailer, I guess you can kind of see here that there is a new map that they haven't mentioned, where like this one here, I don't believe, or that one there with the lava could be the new one, another new one that they haven't mentioned yet. So at least one new map, but there's hopefully going to be 2. I was hoping maybe like 3 or 4, because it does get stale when you keep playing the same maps, especially Big Team Battle. They need more Big Team Battle maps. So they continue on here to say, well, we didn't spot any new guns in this trailer. Creative lead Joseph Staten stressed that it's only a teaser and we should expect more updates in the weeks ahead leading up to Season 2's launch on May 3rd. Perhaps the most notable tease of them all is the dust storm that seems to be closing fast around players in one particular sequence at the end of the trailer. Rumors have suggested a Battle Royale light mode would be on the way, and this teaser seems to suggest the same, with an ever-encroaching circle dwindling the map size of what is probably a big team battle map. Other nuances of this seemingly brand new mode should be revealed in due time. So that could be the game changer right now that Halo needs in order to bring this game back. It's the last Spartan standing mode that people have rumored about, people have talked about that it could be coming, and it's like a Battle Royale light mode. I'm just going to quickly last Spartan standing Halo, and it's a mode that's been leaked here. Every Spartan for themselves in a new mode, which is coming in Season 2, Lone Wolves. You can see the leak here. And here's the picture of it. Every Spartan for themselves, level up your loadout by earning personal score to be the last Spartan standing. So apparently it's going to be like a mix of like gun game as well as Battle Royale, which sounds pretty good because you're going to, as you go through, you're getting kills, you're going to be getting better weapons. And obviously the person at the end is going to have, the last two guys are going to have the two best weapons and you're going to have a duel, which could be a lot of fun. I guess it's not going to really incorporate as much loot as other Battle Royale game modes, but me personally, I'm not a big Battle Royale fan. It's probably one of the game modes I just don't touch. I don't play pretty much at all. I've played like a bit of Apex. I played a bit of Warzone. I played one match my entire life of Fortnite, never touched it again after that. So I'm not a huge fan of Battle Royale, but I've always said if Halo Infinite can give us a Battle Royale mode, I will probably check it out, and it could be the one game that kind of turns me around on Battle Royale games, and maybe I will enjoy it a lot. If it's mixed with gun game, though, that sounds like a lot of fun because gun game has always been one of my favorite game modes in shooters. Like in CSGO, absolutely loved gun game. Did Call of Duty have a gun game mode? I think it did. But gun game in general, I've always enjoyed. So if you mix that with like a Battle Royale light where it's a smaller map, you're not literally just spending 50% of the game or more running around, looting, and not really doing anything and just kind of waiting for action to happen, but you're actually always kind of in fights and stuff. I think it could be fun, and it could be a game mode that's probably great for streaming, and it could be the one that does revitalize these numbers, because it needs something, that's for sure, because it's fallen off, and it's a shame because Halo Infinite, I would say it probably has the potential to be the best Halo game, multiplayer for sure, the campaign as well. If they add more content, that's another thing they haven't mentioned, is what content are they going to be adding for the single player campaign. We don't know yet. They haven't given us an update on if they're going to be giving us more story content, or one thing I'm still waiting for, which we haven't got yet, which is extremely annoying. I even tweeted this at them when they first gave us the update, I think last month, saying that why they haven't given us an update is that why can't we load specific levels or specific missions within Halo Infinite in the single player campaign? That part's very annoying, especially if you've missed something. So we'll have to see what happens. May 3rd is going to be a big day for Halo Infinite. We'll see maybe on May 3rd if the numbers tick up, because I'm sure there will be a huge influx of numbers and these will go up in terms of the 24-hour peak. But will that hold? That is the biggest question of all. Will it hold? And if there's enough content, it will. If there isn't, people are going to drop off. It's clear it's the content that is the issue. But let's go through the comments here and see what you guys think about Halo, because I'm sure there is a mix of reactions when it comes to Halo overall. All right, it's all 343's fault. 343, people like to, I think there's like two camps when it comes to Halo. There's the camp that just hate 343 and only love Bungie, and if they'll always hate Halo because it isn't a Bungie game. But I have to say, in terms of the gameplay, the single player campaign was fun. The multiplayer is very tight. I think 343 has done a great job, but where they have completely failed is running a live service game. It's almost like they didn't know how to do this, and you can tell it's their first real live service game, right? Because that's where they dropped the ball. So yeah, I guess it is their fault. I mean, they're the developers. I gave Halo up for like a month, came back strong. Don't have any trouble finding a match. I love the game. That's good. I mean, I don't think you'll have trouble finding matches. I'm just talking about the overall health of the community. Obviously, you need more people in there. You need people streaming it so that it continues to be big. And the pro scene, I'm not sure how that's going, but I do find it actually pretty fun to watch. Took a long minute, but I'm happy to see new maps. I'm happy to see new maps too, for sure. Halo is great. I don't know why people are hating on it. Elden Ring is also taking up people's time. Yeah, Elden Ring is definitely taking up a lot of people's time. More content is cool, but I'm going to finish the battle pass in a few weeks, and then it's just coming back for events or a weekly reward if it's worth grinding towards. Yeah, that's the thing too, right? People finish those battle passes fast, and it's what do you do in between the time somebody starts the battle pass, finishes it, and then the time after they finished it to bring them back to play more? Because if you're not into like ranked, you're not into playing competitively, all you want to do is sit back and play casual stuff. But if you're not achieving anything while playing casual, a lot of people just kind of fall off and go to the next game. We're in an era now where people don't just play them all. A lot of people do, but some people just always need that achievement of like a cosmetic or something when they're playing. Sadly, it's not enough content. Yeah, well, I think that's not enough maps, at least right now. He'll need player progression to go along with the battle pass. That would be cool. A 4v4 map, one big team battle map. Yeah, so there's two. I guess that is the two maps they're going to be bringing. Content drops are just going to be another disaster like the operations with Gears 5, where they drip feed the bare minimum content and pat themselves on the back. Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. I wonder why. I wonder why it's like that. I think that they focus a lot on the multiplayer, which they have to, but imagine they were giving us more single player stuff too. You think about Gears as well when they gave us that campaign DLC. Although it was very short, a lot of people loved it and got back into playing Gears because of that. I'll give them the time they need and quit begging for content. It's not good for devs, but to be constantly under pressure to put stuff out. That's true. Already looking forward to season 3. Well, if you're a Forge person, definitely season 3 is going to be where it's at. That could be the saving grace at the end of all of this is Forge, because 343 can work on their stuff knowing that the community is going to be putting out daily content, tons of content for people to play, to jump into. What's up, Arturo? How you doing? Hey, Plume, should I? No, Bob. I'm not even going to read that. No. I had to stop before I thought you were going to say, I when I was skimming it, I thought you were going to say back the Halo service. Like, should you play it? I was like, yeah, you should try it out. Yeah, but 343 also puts themselves into this cycle. We just have to hope they don't become content like the Coalition did with Gears 5. Really never heard anyone complain about Gears 5 until now. Interesting. I used to be a huge Gears multiplayer back with Gears 1 and Gears 2 on 360. Been mostly strictly the single player stuff, but still one of my favorite franchises out there. As long as the core gameplay exists, is enough to keep it going. Well, luckily the core gameplay is incredible. Definitely incredible. No game's really coming out in May, so you expect more people to pick up the game. Excited for season 2, but not sure how long. I'm excited for season 2 as well. I'm going to be jumping in and seeing what it's all about. All right. So Halo Infinite, hopefully that thing turns around. But let's jump over here to something that I saw today. Very interesting. I want to talk about it because it's still kind of like an unknown. But let's get this up here. And that is, got some news here about the Sega Super game. I know this is going to be, people are going to be pissed off just by reading this because, they mention NFTs. But it seems different, I guess, than what some people were expecting. So they're saying here, Sega says its Super game plan is multiple games, and they may use NFTs. It was previously believed that the codename referred to a single AAA title. I think that's what everyone had thought it was when they first did this partnership with Xbox. Because if we remember back here, this was on November 1st, where Xbox and Sega created this strategic partnership. Let's see if I can zoom in here for you guys. And so Sega Corporation and Microsoft have agreed in principle a strategic alliance that explores ways for Sega to produce large-scale global games in a new generation development environment built on Microsoft's Azure cloud platform, which I think Azure is going to be huge just for the entire industry going forward. You're going to have a lot of these companies jumping in to try to use the Azure cloud platform, knowing that cloud and subscription is going to be the future of gaming. So this is just a good start for Sega. They say the alliance would form a key part of Sega's mid to long-term strategy, allowing the business to move forward with Super Game, a new initiative for developing new and innovative titles, where the key focuses are global online community and IP utilization. And then we see here, remember all this where Sarah Bond was on this posting as well, as she's the one, I guess, running this partnership. And then we have this information here that it's not going to be a single game they're playing. It's going to be multiple games, and they may use NFT. So it says the parent company they were considering investing $882 million over the next 5 years to achieve super game ambitions, and that people believed first that it was a single enormous title, but a new internal interview has clarified that it refers to a description Sega is giving to a number of high-budget games that it has planned. So this is an interview with Sega's with VP Shuji Yutsumi, and it says here, Sega offers a wide range of game content, including hardware and arcade content, which is made possible by its diverse range of technologies. We have defined Super Game as the development of AAA titles that cross over Sega's comprehensive range of technologies, and we will aim to achieve this in our 5-year plan. Several titles are being developed within the framework of Super Game, and while each title will vary, there is no doubt they will be interactive titles that go beyond the traditional framework of games. So it's hard to tell what this means. I guess they're making multiple games. I guess Super Game pretty much is just using cloud technology, just using the Azure technology. Games that are developed with that technology are going to be considered part of their Super Game series or whatever it is. And they mentioned things like arcade content. They have a diverse range of technologies. They're going to be defining Super Game as the development of AAA titles that cross all of these different technologies. So could there be like, I don't know, AAA arcade stuff? I'm not really sure what that means. It continues on here to say several titles are being developed within the framework of Super Game. And well, each title, I already read that. For example, in the past, people who played games were called gamers, but now watching games has become a culture in itself, and such people can no longer be called gamers. I don't know. It's an interesting take. I guess, what do you call? You're just gamers are not a thing anymore if you play video games. Okay. I think there is a great potential in the relationship between people who play and watch games. Okay. So they're going to want to be doing something with streaming and capitalizing on that as well. We are thinking of creating new entertainments within these possibilities. So maybe they're going to be using their technology as like a video streaming service. Who knows? Maybe Sega and Xbox are going to be teaming up to launch a new streaming service like they did back with the one that they just closed down like a couple years ago, whatever it was called, realizing that it's almost impossible to compete with Twitch and YouTube gaming and even, I guess, Facebook gaming now, which has gotten bigger. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea, if that's what they're thinking of doing. But they say Super Game has to meet 4 criteria: multi-platform. Okay, so we know these games are not going to be exclusive to Xbox, but they can still come onto Xbox Game Pass, especially if they're using Azure. You would assume that they're going to be coming onto Game Pass at some point, maybe day one, hopefully day one. Global multi-language development and simultaneous worldwide releases. That's good. So they're not going to be making these just for Japan. That's a good thing. But I think the games that they do make with this will be huge for getting people into Game Pass if these Super Games get launched into Game Pass, and they're AAA titles. Okay, so they are going to be AAA titles, so they're not going to be arcade style of games. Sega's general manager Katsuya Hisei added several projects are currently underway for Super Game. In my department, around 50 people are already involved in the initial stages. We expect the final number of employees will be several hundred. So this is huge. Several hundred employees are going to be working on this stuff and with using Microsoft's Azure technology. And then they go on here to talk about this recently registered trademark for Sega NFT. Now, NFT, I mean, like, we know gamers, I guess Sega doesn't want to call gamers anymore, but we know gamers just don't want NFTs. We even just recently saw with the Ubisoft stuff, which was, I think, was absolutely ridiculous. Now, when it comes to NFTs, when they first announced it, they first talked about it. I personally don't fully understand them. I did a little bit more research on them. I somewhat understand them, but I can't say that I still fully understand it. And I guess it's just kind of like a receipt of ownership for a digital asset that you can trade across games. You can trade with other people. And I guess the overall, what people would want to see if NFTs are going to be forced into games would be that you can buy a cosmetic, take that cosmetic, and then sell it to somebody else when you're done with the cosmetic. Which, if that was something that they did, I don't even think you need NFTs to do that. You probably could just do that with general cosmetics and microtransactions. But hey, they want to brand NFTs because they know it's a popular thing now. Although I don't even think it's that popular, and people will see the word NFT and be more attracted to it. They can upsell the price of things because they call it an NFT and make you believe that it's like a unique thing that you only own, whatever, right? The theory that you can sell your cosmetics to somebody else when you're done with it, I think overall is a good theory. I think that's something that if you could do that currently with the cosmetics that you've spent hundreds of dollars on, why not be able to recoup some of the money that you've spent for a cosmetic you're never going to be able to use? But what we saw with Ubisoft last week was they they had the NFTs for Ghost Recon. They're not updating Ghost Recon anymore. They've closed off of these NFTs, and they're pretty much, yeah, well, you spent all this money on this NFTs, and I guess you're not going to be able to do anything else with it. So to me, it almost seemed like a scam, and it's because people just aren't supporting it. Like, they seemed like Ubisoft made no money on NFTs with like the 400. They said they made like $400, but even after all of this, they said they're still going to pursue it, and you're seeing more companies like Sega now trying to get into it with this trademark for Sega NFT. And they say here the Super Game project could also incorporate cloud technology and NFTs, two technologies Sega has recently been getting involved with. Gaming has a history of of expansion through the connection of various cultures and technologies. For example, social networking and game video viewing are recent examples. So you can tell they're really with Azure, they really want to get into like some making their games, but then somehow getting it onto like a social network of some sort where everyone can watch these games to expand the audience in case they don't actually want to play them. They continue here to say it is natural extension for the future of gaming that it will expand to involve new areas such as cloud gaming and NFT. Cloud gaming, definitely. NFT, not sold on. We are also developing Super Game from the perspective of how far different games can be connected to each other. Okay, so there you have it. We heard about Super Game. We heard about Super Game, and we thought it was a big game. Now we know it's going to be a multitude of different games that Sega is working on, and they're going to be incorporating some sort of NFT technology with it, some sort of cloud. The Azure is the cloud technology, and it's going to sound like it's going to be incorporating something along the lines of a social aspect to it, where if you don't want to play the game, you can just watch the game, which is obviously what we already have now with game streaming and Twitch. But Sega, I guess, really wants to do their own thing with it. But we'll wait to see what happens. And now this is a partnership with Xbox, with Microsoft. It's not going to be exclusive, but I think there's a good chance that these games do get released into like Xbox Cloud Gaming or something along those lines. So very interesting stuff. And I think overall, I'm excited to see what it is. I mean, Sega and Microsoft have always had a good relationship dating back to the Dreamcast games. I'm excited to see what their new open world Sonic game is. So it'll still be, I think, a very long time though before any of this happens. So let's just jump over here to comments and see What do you guys think about this? Infurious One, $2 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you. Spartacus turns out to be Farticus. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Spartacus isn't. It's PlayStation's, I would say, half-assed attempt to compete with Game Pass. I guess that's the best way to put it, because what they're doing essentially is saying, we know that our fans still want to pay us full price for our games, but we also know that a certain percentage are going to transfer over to the higher tiers of PS Plus and pay full price for our games, and it's all going to be on a digital store. We can double dip and just make more money off of our fans, because we've made them believe that their $70 that they spend on a PlayStation game is more valuable than $70 spent anywhere else, which I talked about this at the beginning of the show. Absolutely delusional and ridiculous, and you've been brainwashed by a corporation if you think spending more money on a video game is the better choice than getting the best value. So we'll leave it at that. All right. Let's go down here. So NFTs. What's up, JX? How you doing? Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Who hates Roblox? I don't know. I've never played Roblox. Sega already backtracked on NFTs. Are they really going to try again? I mean, that's what this sounds like, because this is an article from, what are we, the 9th? Today. And this is an internal interview, apparently, from the VP, Shuji Yatsumi. And it's from Sega Japan's recruitment website. It's been translated. So yeah, I guess they are coming back. They're trying to bring in the NFTs. I think there's a lot of money in NFTs, and people are trying to capitalize on it. Although they're, even with the big pushback, I guess for them, they see that the return on their investment with NFTs, even with the negative PR, is still worth it. I don't know how they would see that after the Ubisoft stuff, but maybe it's still going. Let's see. I can see these super games getting help by Xbox's new cloud publishing arm. Yeah, that would be very cool as well. What's so bad about NFT? If you don't want it, don't buy it, right? Yeah, it's the same thing, I guess, with microtransactions. At the end of the day, if all these games have NFTs in them, you don't want it, you don't like it, don't buy it. I agree with that for sure, because you can't control how adults spend their money. If adult wants to spend their money buying NFTs, that's their choice, and who are we to tell them not to do it? I think the problem with NFTs, though, is just the way that they're marketing it as like an NFT is a super rare thing that you can only get. There's only one of them, and then you're going to be able to trade it around and sell it after, which we haven't seen any of that yet. Like if NFTs is the evolution of microtransactions where you can sell these things after you've used them to somebody else and you make some of your money back, then I don't see that that's a bad thing. When are we going to see that? Because that's kind of how they're marketing it as. What they're marketing these NFTs as, you could literally just do with microtransactions. You don't need to make them NFTs. You could just do it with the current cosmetics out there and the way that they currently do things. But they want to use the NFT as branding, I guess, to make more money and upsell people on essentially just a cosmetic that if it wasn't named NFT would be like a tenth of the price, right? I think that's where one of the big issues comes in with it from like an industry standpoint. But I could be wrong, because like I said, I don't fully understand them. All right. There are ways to implement an economy in games without NFT. That's it. That's my point, Jason. I agree. There are ways to implement economies in games that don't use NFTs, and that's why I think that they're using NFTs to just kind of sell these things at a way higher price, and making you believe that, oh, you have this rare digital asset that essentially is worth literally nothing. It's a digital asset. I don't know. NFTs need to go the way of motion gaming and just go away. Yeah. I remember when Sega had surprised me back in 2020, and many people know that Microsoft bought Sega and turned out to be a mini game gear from Sega. I don't think I think Sega would be an incredible acquisition. Will they ever buy Sega? I don't think so. They've been trying to. I saw something on Twitter where there were rumors that Nintendo was buying Sega back in like 2000. The media and the insiders and all these people who have all inside information apparently have been trying to sell Sega for like 2 decades now. And it just hasn't happened. Will we see it happen? I don't think so. I think Sega's doing just fine. I don't think they need to sell. But I think Sega and Xbox have a great relationship. If it ever happened, it'd be very interesting to see. Ubisoft didn't make anything. Both say when PlayStation 5 games will be a thrift stores in 3 to 5 years. Imagine paying $70 but see, that's the thing. There with the push of digital, which will lead me into the next topic, which is another thing that's kind of worrying. A lot of these gamers are spending that extra $10 on PlayStation games digitally, and then there's nothing you can do about that, right? Anybody who plays Nintendo games are little kids who don't know what real games are that pro gamers play. If you want an actual real gaming experience, you have FIFA, Madden, NBA, Call of Duty. I'll be honest, Madgun, the games that you just listed are probably the most mainstream video games out there. Now, when you say the thing about the Nintendo Switch, I have here, I fully disagree because I'll just grab this and show you guys. Because on the Nintendo Switch, you have games like this, a triangle strategy. All right, it's not a kid's game. I like the Nintendo Switch. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy it. You have Metroid Dread, not a kid's game, pretty hard game. So you got Fire Emblem, great game. Yeah, Matt Gun's definitely trolling. Definitely trolling. I just wanted to show off my my Tacticians limited edition triangle strategy that apparently is only available in the UK. They didn't even release this in North America. So I feel like this is going to be rare in like a couple years, especially in North America. All right. What's up, Sensei? How you doing? Welcome. All right. Let's move on here. So since we're talking about NFT, since we're talking about digital, let's move on here to, we got this here. PlayStation's digital games. PlayStation digital games. So this is again an article that just came out. The Nintendo Flex, yeah, had to. Mad Guns was trolling, calling out the Switch as a kids console. Oh man, that Kirby game looks awesome. I did for sure. I want to play that really badly. I'll be honest. I just finished. Not this week. I forgot to mention, but I did just finish Pokemon Arceus, which was, I would say that could probably be a kids game, but it was fun. So let's jump over here. Next topic here. So it has to do with digital games and some games expiring apparently on PS3 and on Vita that you just can't play anymore. Not sure if this is a system error. Not sure if this is something that PlayStation can go back and fix. But let's go through it. So it says here, digital purchases are mysteriously expiring on classic PlayStation consoles, rendering a random assortment of games unplayable. Over the last several days, PlayStation users have reported strange decades-old expiration dates being applied to their digital games. So there's been a couple here on PS3 and on PS Vita. We got the first one here is from this person. Christopher Fu said that their PS1 classic versions of Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger have a setting, a date expiration of December 31st, 1969, which obviously is just some sort of error, and that they can't play it anymore. They can't go in and play these games anymore. It says here, the kicker is I tested Chrono Trigger today on my PS3 and it ran fine. Had no expiration date. When I downloaded a new copy in the capsule form so I could transfer a copy to my Vita, somehow PSN updated the expiration date on my existing install and it no longer launches. So this is for the PlayStation Vita. Now, what I find interesting about this stuff is there's a couple of instances here, like we're seeing this one. This person here, I believe, well, that doesn't show the date there, but the content is expired, no longer available. PS1 Classic version of Chrono Cross can't be found on the PS Vita store anymore, only on your download list if you bought it before. It's on the PS3 store, but trying to install and run it tells me it's expired. So there's a difference here. This person, Edmund Tran, who I believe is the managing editor at GameStop.com. There's sometimes it's working on PS Vita, sometimes it's working on the PS3, but it's expiring because of the date that it's saying here, like 1969, 1970, all that type of stuff. And it's weird that this is happening, and it kind of makes us rethink, or makes me rethink, just going forward, the digital future with games that you're just not going to be able to play anymore if you've purchased them fully digitally, how this is going to play out. We know PlayStation has had like a weird kind of stance on digital stores. So the PS3 and the Vita, they were going to close them down. There was a ton of backlash, and then they weren't going to close them down anymore. And then just last week, they announced about the PlayStation Spartacus, and maybe people are thinking that this is kind of maybe trying to push them over to the Spartacus platform when it gets released, or whatever, the PlayStation Premium, Extra, Essentials, whatever it's called. And because these games are apparently are going to be available on like PS, or they are available on PS Now, and they're going to be available on the PlayStation Plus once that comes out. So it makes you think about the future. Like I'm somebody who used to be fully like all physical, last generation, pretty much all physical, and the generation before that, pretty much all physical. But now with the Series X and the Series S, I'm pretty much going all digital, except for when I flexing with my Nintendo stuff and like special editions, because it's just so much easier to play games digitally with my Series S up here, my Series X downstairs, and just kind of being able to jump in with quick resume. So it's just, but when you think about the future of gaming as someone who's a collector, like I have a collection of 360 games, original Xbox games, PS1, PS2, a GameCube. Like I have all like the best Nintendo GameCube games. Like, and then I still have a collection of like Switch games. But with Xbox, all my stuff's digital. And placed in PS5 going forward, I'm guessing will most likely be digital, except for like the first party stuff. Depends sometimes, but I don't ever buy that stuff at full price. But like, it's scary in like 10 years from now, because I go back and play retro games all the time. If these games somehow PlayStation, or even if Xbox does it, or even Nintendo does it, decides that, hey, we're just gonna pull these off the store, they're gonna expire. You've literally won't be able to access this stuff anymore. And hopefully this is just like a system error rather than something that PlayStation's doing in order to kind of push people over to PS Plus, or to push them over to buying because the new remaster of Chrono Cross. Who knows? But it does make you start to think about the future of gaming in a little bit. All right, and we got a super chat here from Jonas the Dad. Hail from the great state of Oregon, enjoying an Angry Orchards ale. Also, new Star Wars Lego and Series X on the Samsung QN85A 85-inch, smooth and pretty. Well, thank you for the super chat, Jonas. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers. I'm drinking a Guinness right now. I've heard Star Wars Lego on the Series X is just, I can't wait to play that game. I'm just playing like so much stuff that I'm going to pick that up eventually. Like, I want to get the deluxe edition with like, doesn't it come with like the little Lego figure? But yeah, it looks really cool. And just looks right up my alley, and tons of content to it. So cheers. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, digital stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about these games not working anymore? There's been a bunch of examples, like this person here did some testing of the issue of Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger having broken expiration on licenses. Chrono Cross still worked for me. Chrono Trigger did not. I tested reinstalling some other games and they worked fine. And like this stuff here, it really also makes you think about the comparison of backwards compatibility with how Xbox does it compared to PlayStation with some of these games. Just overall, I mean, the backwards compatibility on Xbox is by far the best. They did such a great job bringing over libraries, allowing you to use your physical games for multiple like generations of stuff. And I wish PlayStation would do this as well, because they do have a great back catalog going all the way back to the PS1. Like I've played PlayStation from the PS1 till now, but they just completely dropped the ball with their backwards compatibility. All right. Game called Triangle Strategy always sounds boring regardless of the praise. Oof, L for Square. Every time I read a Vita, I hope it's something related to Soul Sacrifice. I really want that game back. I remember that game back on the Vita. There are levels to parental control. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Guys, just a heads up. I received a message posing as a YouTuber saying I had won a PS5. Long story short, it's a scam. They want you to WhatsApp, and the kicker is you have to pay for this shipping. I've heard that scam going around a lot with um like MKBHD and Review Tech USA, where they're making you believe that, yeah, anyways, it's a scam, so just don't reply to that stuff. All right. PlayStation is basically trying to pull a Nintendo. Yeah, most likely with like the virtual console stuff, right? With the Wii U and the Wii. Can you even access those games anymore on the Nintendo Virtual Console? And then they are drip feeding you like the stupid monthly games that you've probably bought like 100 times already, that they want you to pay another monthly subscription for just to get access to them. Like, ridiculous. Yeah, the Nintendo Online sucks. I don't pay for it. Do not pay for that. They want to spend more anyways, make them pay $18 a month. Yeah, that's it. That's what people are saying this could be. Could be another anti-consumer move. It's hard to believe that, just because why? like like why do that other than just to be idiots, I guess. I don't know. Like they're trying to push people over to the PlayStation Plus, but I feel like this would be over. We've already seen people with the backlash of them trying to turn off the PlayStation 3 and the Vita stores. This would just add to that to an immense proportion. So I don't. It could just be a system error, but yeah, because the expiration date makes it feel like it's just some sort of system error that they have to fix. The problem is here is if not enough people complain about this. Let's say it's just these like 5, 6 guys on Twitter talking about it. Like they don't have that much traction on it, right? Like 5 likes, one quote tweet, whatever. No one gives a shit, right? Okay, this one's a little bit bigger. Still, like relatively, no one really gives a shit, right? 18 quote tweets, 56 retweets. And this one's a little bit bigger, a little bit better. So they give a little bit of a shit about this, guys. But if no one gives a shit about this, right? They're not going to go back and fix these things. If it is just a system, they're probably just going to let it run. And then I guess at the end of the day, hope that you sign up for PlayStation Plus to play these games, which I would be ridiculous if you did that. Didn't Chrono Cross bomb recently? Potentially the remake did? I don't know. Or the not remake, the remaster. Sorry. Digital has more benefits in my house than physical. Game share with my son and the ability to jump from game to game without changing the disc. Yeah, I mean, that's where for me right now, this generation with the Series X and the Series S, where digital just has a huge benefit, because obviously the Series S doesn't have a disc drive, and just jumping between games. I've bought a couple physical games on Xbox, and I've regretted it because I can't just come up here where I'm streaming, launch my Series S and play it. I always have to play on my big screen downstairs, which was annoying, and that's kind of how they get you with the with digital stuff. And then Game Pass, right? Game Pass just kind of forget about physical games, anyways. That's why it's good to emulate. It looks like PS5 is still ahead of the Series by 1.127 million. Overall, PS5 is definitely ahead. Definitely. It probably will be for, I would say, I'd be, like I said at the beginning, we were talking about this. I would be shocked if Xbox outsells PS5 overall throughout this generation, but the chip priority stuff is just a great business move. That's a smart ass business move to get more consoles out there than when your competitor is locked into consoles. It's literally the only way that people can play PlayStation games, get into their ecosystem for at least the new stuff. I mean, you can play some of them on PC, and I guess through PS Now you can stream, but like the main way for PlayStation is getting people onto the PS5. This is a very smart business move by Xbox, and if people who think that this is like holding PlayStation back, not letting PlayStation gamers to play, just delusional thinking in my opinion, but this is the way I see it. Business people, if you're not in business to win, to beat your competitors, and you're just not in the right avenue of business, I guess. Best way I can put it. Okay, all right, so what else we gotta talk about? We're going about an hour and 15 minutes here, 62 good people in chat. Welcome. If you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. Consider liking. This is my weekly gaming podcast. I do videos all week as well, daily uploads, pretty much. So if you're into that type of stuff, go check out the channel. But yeah, thank you guys all for stopping by. This is my second week doing Plumecast Live, where we just kind of hang out, talk about news, talk about stuff going on in the industry. And it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to continue to do it. It's better than doing it offline, not seeing the interaction from you guys and then just posting it the next day. So it's great. Saturday night, 7 p.m. should stay that time. Unless stuff comes up, I would just randomly change it and I'll let you guys know. But yeah, let's go over here to the next topic. The next topic I want to talk about is some more great news for Game Pass, what it does for games. And it is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the... I can't spell. Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's go. Okay. Right. Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember when the PS3 could play prior generation games, but they quickly removed that feature? The fat PS3, right? Yeah, that was awesome. You could play the PS2 games. My friend had that. I didn't have it, and I was so jealous because I didn't have the fat PS3 that I could play the PS2 games. Xbox has been on top of it lately, outselling even in a few regions. The sales have been extremely impressive, but it definitely is because of these deals that they've made and because of the inventory. And it's smart. Did you play Dreamcast back in the day? I did play Dreamcast back in the day. I didn't own one though. My friend had one. I would always just go play with them. But it's because PS2 came out like just destroyed it like right after, right? So I had a PS2, and I had PS2 first, and then I got an original Xbox when my PS2 broke, and then I eventually got a GameCube as well. Yeah, some great games like Sonic Adventure are some of my favorites. I replayed Sonic Adventure on PC as well, but I remember when they showed off Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast, I thought like that was revolutionary to video games. That blew my mind. So good. What's the name of the beer I'm drinking? Well, tonight I'm just going basic with some. Well, you can't see that. Just drinking a Guinness tonight. In fact, I'm almost done this one, so I have a second one here. I'm gonna pop open as we go through this. I love Guinness. Absolutely love it. I'm gonna pour this beer, guys, before we jump into this topic. All right, so what are we talking about here? Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians of the Galaxy is a very interesting game to me. It first came out when they first announced it. I think a lot of people thought Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be like the Avengers, and that instantly I think turned off a lot of people. They showed it off. It looked cool. It looked interesting. The reviews came out, confirmed it wasn't like the Avengers. Got really good reviews, and people were ranting and raving about the story, the characters, the graphics, all that type of stuff. But it didn't sell well. It didn't sell well. And even for me personally, I was looking at it. I didn't pick it up at launch. I bought it on Black Friday, which I think is like a month after it came out or something. And literally it was half price. It was 50% off on Black Friday, which is always a terrible sign for a game in terms of how it's doing with sales and its overall success. I eventually played through it and I absolutely loved it. I thought the acting was incredible. The story was incredible. In fact, I think I like the actors in the game more than I liked the movie. I kind of was I'm hoping they just take this and make like a movie out of it, or at least make a second game, because I thought the one-liners, the character development, the interactions between the character was just top notch. So it was very confusing and unfortunate to see the game just not do very well. I just think it has a lot to do with the downfall of Avengers, and people think maybe it was like that, or maybe with just the timing of when it was released. So it didn't do well, got slashed in price, and then, as we know, came out onto Xbox Game Pass, which was a huge Game Pass release that people were happy to see. And it looks like now, because of it releasing onto Xbox Game Pass, it has found an audience. So it was developed by Eidos Montreal, and they say here, despite receiving highly positive reviews, it undershot publisher Square Enix sales expectations at launch, according to President Yusuke Matsuda. However, he also said in February that sales initiatives kicked off in late 2021 had resulted in growth. So I'm guessing the sales initiatives he's referring to is cutting the price of it, cutting in half. And the title has since attracted many more players after joining Xbox Game Pass in March. Senior narrative director Mary DeMarley have told Eurogamer, now I think this is the important part here. For me, it's all about creating the game. What I love right now is that people, especially with Game Pass, are playing it and they're sharing the experience. We make games to touch people. We make games to hit an audience. And it's great that it's finding its audience. It's great that it keeps going forward. Continue on here. Say it's like anything. We always want to sell trillions, but it's not always necessarily as easy as that. But it's a great ride, and it's something this year or last year that you played that is unlike everything else, and it is worth spending your time on. I honestly think it is from a game standpoint. I have no regrets. We did everything we could, but that's the reality of the market. And let's not forget, it's a new IP. Even though we say all Guardians of the Galaxy are known, it's still a new IP in the video game market. It could be a lot. People don't even know that the game is out yet, and they're not sure exactly what it is. So there's that. I mean, that's what they're going with. It's a new IP. People may not know about it or whatever. Maybe there wasn't enough marketing, although I did see a decent amount of marketing of Guardians on social media and stuff when the game was announced, when it was launched. But the big thing here is Game Pass. It's Game Pass, and it's another example of how successful Game Pass can be for games, of getting more people to play it. Now, I think the most interesting thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is just the fact that it's a single player game. It's not a multiplayer. It's not a co-op. It's not, it's not a game that people just, I guess, automatically attribute to Game Pass success. It's a game that it's pretty much a one and done. You go through it, you're done. And we remember back with the deal, we heard that the rumors that, well, it's right here. They paid $5 to $10 million to get Guardians of the Galaxy on Game Pass. This is what an analyst says, which for Microsoft is a drop in the bucket. It's absolutely no money. And for Square Enix, I'm guessing you get offered $5 to $10 million for these big companies. It's still not a crazy amount of money, but they're probably thinking, this game has just failed sales. We've had to cut the price in half. Are we going to be able to make that $5 to $10 million in the next couple of months if we just continue to sell it and continue to slash the price? Probably not. So we're going to take that deal, we're going to put it onto Game Pass, and more people are going to go and play the game. And from the statistics that we've seen with Xbox Game Pass is that more people try different games, more people buy things once they're in Game Pass on the store, and they're probably hoping as well, on top of more people experiencing the game itself, more people are going to go buy it. More people are going to spend money on it outside of Game Pass because they've discovered the game. They've told their friends. It's the word of mouth marketing. It's the social media stuff. All that plays into these deals as to why this game came out onto Game Pass relatively soon after it came out. And I think just these types of examples are just more stuff that Xbox gets to use when they're trying to get more single player games onto the service. And it's great that it did well. It's great that Square Enix is talking about. This isn't the first time we've seen this. I mean, Sega's talked about how well their games do on Game Pass. Pretty much every publisher out there has talked about how they put their Game Pass, the game onto Game Pass, and more people are buying their games. Their sales actually went up because it was on Game Pass. So it's just another success story, and it gives hope that maybe they will make it a second Guardians of the Galaxy because of this success. And I really hope they do, because to me personally, I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was an absolutely incredible game. I was sad to see that not sell well, and I was instantly thinking they aren't going to make a second game because of this. But Game Pass could potentially have revitalized it, potentially saved the actual franchise in terms of the video games, and we may be getting a second game depending on how all this goes. So those are my thoughts. Let's see what do you guys think about this? What are your guys' thoughts on this? Right. Hopefully we get a second Guardians. They did a really good job. I agree 100%. What kind of music do I listen to? I listen to just like a variety of music, like rap, rock. I like blues. I really, really like blues. I actually play guitar, and I'm just like I play like a lot of bluesy stuff, just like more of like the soloing style of stuff. I'm less of the rhythm, more of like the solo, but I like a lot of different stuff. Hopefully headlines like this inspire other devs to put their games onto Game Pass either day one or a few months after it performs. I think it will. I think these headlines will, but I also think just like the data and statistics that Xbox provides all of these developers based off of this will help them get their games on there. Like this is a success story for Game Pass. $5 to $10 million, low cost. Square Enix makes back some of the money, the return on their investment for making the game that they would have never had before if it wasn't for Game Pass. So they're happy. And they're seeing the statistics that more people are discovering the game that would have never played it. So again, they're double happy. It's a win-win-win for everybody. And more things like this will get more games like Guardians of the Galaxy on the service. And it also gives you insight on the deals because it's a single player game. There's no microtransactions. Like you're not going to be making extra additional dollars off of people spending more money within the Microsoft store. So Microsoft doesn't really have like, or the publisher and developer don't have that like bargaining chip to say, hey, we want more money because you're going to make more money off of the store or whatever it is, right? So $5 to $10 million, the amount of games Xbox could potentially get that just underperform, but they're huge games like this. There's probably a decent amount of them. Outselling is outselling. It's not Xbox's fault. PlayStation can't make more. At this point, the Black Friday section is a spoiler alert for Game Pass updates. It's definitely something you can look at. Square should sell them their Western studios. They will be much happier under Xbox, in my opinion. So yeah, there's like Crystal, right? People Can Fly. I don't know. Those are the two that come to my mind because we had Outriders. People Can Fly Square. But Outriders was on Game Pass. Tomb Raider was exclusive to Xbox, and we know they're doing another. We know they're doing another Tomb Raider game. If you guys haven't played the Crystal Dynamics trilogy of Tomb Raider games, you got to go play those. Those games are incredible. Some of my favorite. I absolutely love those games, and the hilarious thing about that is my wife or my girlfriend at the time, but my wife now, she got me into them. Like she was playing them and I was like, oh, it's Tomb Raider. I used to like it back in the day, but you play through them. If they're good, I'll play them. And she was like, yeah, these games are incredible. So especially considering how their Japanese studios have been forming up for sure. Square has been extra weird saying their games didn't make the money they wanted. They need to stop overestimating. Yeah, they gotta stop overestimating. They gotta put their games everywhere. Final Fantasy 14 times because they're keeping them propped up. Final Fantasy 14 is huge. It's crazy. Yeah, it's taking over World of Warcraft. With how recent Final Fantasy performed, they should be worried that Final Fantasy 16 in the future is the future of the franchise. I'm worried about Final Fantasy 16 never coming onto an Xbox platform. I'm probably gonna play it on. I'll probably play on PS5. Like for me, I don't care. I have all consoles. I literally play it everywhere. It's just like the thought that you're just literally withholding a game from a group of gamers to play, especially as big of a game as Final Fantasy, it's unfortunate. And I know everybody does that. I know Xbox does this too. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's just unfortunate. Building a 3D printer while watching. Nice. Good luck with that. Surprised we're getting another Tomb Raider. They never perform well according to Square. Well, they made 3 of them. So they must have done decent, right? It must have not been as bad because they made a whole new trilogy of them. So there it is. But yeah, that's good news for Game Pass. Good news for Guardians. Hopefully, we get another game. I'm trying to see here. I think that's pretty much all the topics I had. Yeah. Oh, that was just added on, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me, guys. That's pretty much all I had to talk about tonight. So what's we got going on here? Sonic 2 movie is probably open. There's all this stuff too with like the chip priority where it's like you hear about like Xbox. I mean, this deal with the chip priority stuff is probably not recent. You think about all the marketing AMD has done with Xbox. They probably have had this deal in the works from the beginning. Even with like um where is it? The FSR 2.0, the Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0, the company they've been pretty much just saying it's going to be available on the Xbox Series X and S consoles. They haven't mentioned PS5. Whether it's available on the Series X, the PS5 or not, I mean that's we won't know until they're using it. I think it is. I could be wrong, but I think it is. But they didn't mention it, and it's all just like a marketing thing. So this chip priority stuff has probably gone all the way back to their marketing. So I don't know. Hey Sensei, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. FSR 2.0 performance mode should be able to enhance. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see when that stuff pops up. But that's pretty much it for me, guys. That's all I really had on today's slate. So that'll, I think, wrap up episode number 44 of the Plumecast. Gonna probably just go relax now, finish my Guinness, and play some games, and just relax the rest of the night. But I appreciate you guys all stopping by. We had about 60 viewers in here for pretty much the entire time, and I'm really enjoying these live shows now. So I'll be back next Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time again, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about. But if you guys are new here, this is your first time jumping into Plumecast, first time seeing the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you see, and hit the like button and stuff, and check out the different videos. And if it's entertaining and informative, consider subscribing. And I will catch you guys this week with some more videos. But yeah,